I actually think that we have to destroy the universities in this country. They get too much money, they have too much power, I don't think they do anything good.
American universities have become hedge funds. Billion-dollar hedge funds that enrich the academic elite, while they keep shackling students in more and more debts. And at the top of them all is Harvard, with a hedge fund of $51 billion. Get this, according to data from the United Nations, that puts Harvard as the 82nd largest economy in the world, right behind Lebanon and Tanzania, which means Harvard is bigger than 100 other countries in the world. With that big of a hedge fund, Harvard should be able to pay its $55,000 tuition for every single one of its students literally forever. That's right, if all Harvard did was earn 5% on that money, Harvard would be able to pay for all its students' tuition forever. But does any of this hedge fund money ever reach students? No. Every single year, Harvard increases its cost. Harvard couldn't even offer a discount when they moved all their classes online for the pandemic. And Harvard isn't alone. Yale has almost just as big of a hedge fund at $42 billion, and Stanford has an almost $38 billion hedge fund. But as the academic elites, you would never call your hedge fund a hedge fund.
No! God, please, no!
No, the word hedge fund has a negative feel to it. We gotta call it something else, something vague, academic, boring sounding. Something like an endowment. Ah yes, endowments that are meant to support the teaching, research, and public service missions of our university. It's a fund used to support future generations. There we go, that will bore someone to sleep when they hear it. But the reality is, endowments aren't about education. It's not about supporting students investing in the community. No, it's about money, status, business. A tax-free business at that up until 2017.
I believe that the university endowments in this country currently have $600 or $700 billion of wealth that they're managing.
What do they do with that? What is the point?
I wish that I knew.
Harvard paid their hedge fund manager, endowment chief, $6.2 million in 2020. Harvard's former president Drew G. Foss made $3.6 million in 2018. And Vanderbilt University's Chancellor Nicholas Zeppos, he got a near $3 million bonus after budget cuts and layoffs. Their endowment? $10 billion. While the students? From 1980 to today, college tuition increased by more than 1,200%. While inflation, it's up only 236%. That extra 1,000% had to go somewhere, and it definitely didn't go towards the students. So while you're slaving away trying to pay off your student loans while working a job you didn't study for, the academic elite are getting insanely wealthy off of these hedge funds while asking your parents for more donations.
Get them to sign on the line which is dotted.
Stay dangerous and let me explain.
I have $69,812.
$47,000.
$90,000.
$35,000. $350,000.
$60,000 worth of student loans.
My minimum student loan payment is $1,000 a month.
It should take me about 10 years to pay that back.
I will be roughly 36.
45 years old.
I don't know how old I'll be when I pay that off.
I was actually on campus at Penn State, and I saw that I had so much to pay. I didn't know how to do it. I never saw a number that big.
Funny story, I actually dropped out of college. It was after I landed a remote coding job that I had always dreamed of. See, I had learned the super basics of coding in college, but it was nowhere near what I needed to know to actually land a job. And that's when I found this insane course on how to build a web app from scratch. It was insanely thorough and easy to follow. I went through the course, built and launched a functioning web app, put that app on my resume, and boom! I landed an $80,000 a year coding job at 19 years old without a degree or burying myself in debts. And the best part is that this course didn't cost $1,000, it didn't cost $100. No, I paid less than $20 for this course. I turned less than $20 into literally tens of thousands of dollars, all within the span of a few months. And it was all thanks to the amazing platform I found this course on called Udemy. Udemy changed my life. I cannot imagine where my life would be today if it wasn't for Udemy and all the affordable courses this platform offers. We are heading into a recession right now, and the only thing that is recession-proof are your skills. So there's 3 courses I want you to check out. An online MBA course is super good. The second is a Python coding course, which is the easiest coding language. And the third is the web app course I took because it's still super relevant today. So pause the video and click the link below to get those courses now. This video is proudly sponsored by Udemy. Now back to the video.
Have universities always been used as a front for secret money-making schemes? Actually, no. Back in the 1970s, universities were pretty innocent. They spent their money responsibly, and the amount of money in their endowment fund stayed more or less the same. But then, the 80s happened. Movies like Wall Street came out. People became enamored with high finance, and hedge funds became a thing and took the world by storm. Hedge funds were the slick, new, cutting-edge investment vehicles that everyone just had to get in on. Everyone, including universities like Harvard and Yale. See, a lot of these new hedge fund managers happened to be Harvard, Yale, or Stanford alumni. So these hedge fund managers went back to their universities and made a proposal. You're sitting on a bunch of cash you don't know what to do with, so why don't you throw some of it my way, and my hedge fund will invest it for you. So you universities accepted. I mean, come on, you can't say no to alumni. So you start depositing huge amounts of money into their hedge funds. We're talking 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. On top of that, you own hedge fund managers to manage your endowments called endowment chiefs, paying them based on performance. Suddenly, universities started seeing the potential of endowments, especially since these big universities are nonprofits, which means their endowments were tax-free at the time, which gives them an insane advantage over everyone else that does have to pay taxes on their gains. So before you know it, this strange merger of hedge funds and universities started taking off.
The audacity to say corporations don't pay taxes, but no one has the audacity to call out colleges while they pay this much taxes. March Madness, zero in taxes. Football, zero in taxes. They get away with all of that, and they get to charge parents more money every year and pressure parents to finance their house and take money out. You're absolutely right.
Let's say you're one of these rich hedge fund managers that are taking money from universities. Come tax season, you're gonna get hit with a pretty gnarly tax bill. But fear not, because we can simply donate the money we would have paid in taxes to a university endowment. And then, boom, you just got a huge tax write-off for your charitable donation. And if you were smart and strategic about your donation, maybe you donated to a university that has given your hedge fund money to manage. Maybe you donated to a university that you've been trying to give you some money. And boom. Money that would have gone to the taxman went to an endowment. You get a tax write-off. That university may have sent some more money your way to manage, and you end up making more management fees off of that money too. So the money just goes in a big, profitable circle. It's a classic case of I scratch your back, you scratch mine. You donate the endowment fund, and somewhere down the road, the endowment fund manager invests huge sums of money into your hedge fund. This might be partially to blame for just how much university endowments are invested into hedge funds today. The black color represents the percentage of money universities have in hedge funds. So not only are academic elites getting rich off the backs of indebted students, so are hedge fund managers. Like Yale University, who in 2014 paid $430 million to hedge fund managers, while only putting $170 million into scholarships. But little do universities know that hedge fund managers don't have their best interests at heart. So, as the academic elite, your endowment fund has been growing like crazy. And you and your colleagues couldn't be happier. But there's a minor detail you missed when you signed your money away to these hedge fund managers. Hedge funds are horrible investments. In fact, hedge funds are a great way to increase your odds of underperformance. See, hedge funds have what's called the 2-20 rule, where hedge fund managers get a 2% management fee of all the money they manage and 20% of whatever profit they make. Now, on the surface, this sounds all fine and dandy. But the reality couldn't be more sinister. See, 2% might sound innocent enough, but what most people don't realize is that compound interest works in the opposite direction as well. And a 2% management fee is a lot more than it sounds like. But that 20% fee for whatever profits they make is the real kicker. See, this 20% fee only applies to profits. They don't get charged a 20% penalty when they lose your money? So if you're a hedge fund manager and you know that you're gonna make tens of millions or even hundreds of millions without lifting a finger, and on top of that, your only other way to make more money is to get insanely high returns without suffering any of the losses out of your own pocket, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take on as much debt as possible, make the most psychotic trades possible in hopes of hitting it big. And hey, if you crash and burn, no skin off your back. You made your millions, maybe even billions, and you get to walk away scot-free. These are the people that universities have entrusted with helping future generations. And Harvard learned this tough lesson during the 2008 financial crisis, when their endowment took a giant nosedive, with the majority of those losses coming probably from how much money they have in hedge funds. But that's okay, because, you can just raise the price of tuition and cut the wages of campus workers to make it back. It is an economic crisis after all. And don't forget, these hedge funds like to keep their clients locked in for the long haul. So even if your returns start to suck, you still have to pay insane fees until the next redemption period, when you're allowed to withdraw your money.
The University of Pennsylvania just jacked up the cost of undergraduate attendance by 3.8% to just under $50,000 a year. Why'd they do this in the middle of the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression? Why do the people running Penn, my sister's alma mater, think they need make tuition even more expensive? You'll love this. You know why? Because their endowment lost 19% of its value in the second half of 2008.
In 2021, Harvard had 33% of its endowment invested in hedge funds. One problem that you're gonna run into with your endowment is that, inevitably, you're gonna have to invest in things that aren't so politically correct. Harvard's endowment indirectly invests in private prisons through Vanguard. The University of Texas, quote, received over $600 million from an oil and gas fund in Winkler County, end quote. Harvard, Yale, Princeton all had money in a hedge fund run by a billionaire who was a large holder of Puerto Rican debt, while at the same time, Puerto Rico's schools were facing crippling cuts. This is pretty bad. Not because you've invested in these things, but because you've bred an entire generation of college students that are complete social justice warriors against this stuff. If they find out about your sketchy ties, they're gonna protest and screech out the word that every university hates to hear: divest. Divest from these unethical investments. So you need a way to hide, to obfuscate your hedge fund from these less than kosher investments. And you're gonna do that with what's called blocker corporations. A fun little term for offshore companies set up in secrecy havens so endowments can grow their money in secret. As the New York Times reported, quote, a trove of millions of leaked documents from a Bermuda-based law firm, Appleby, reflects some of the tax wizardry used by American colleges and universities. Schools have increasingly turned to secretive offshore investments, the files show, which let them swell their endowments with blocker corporations and avoid scrutiny of ventures involving fossil fuels or other issues that could set off campus controversy, end quote. Today, university endowments have amassed to over $500 billion worldwide. And all that wealth, all that influence is concentrated in a small group of elite private schools. How small? 11% of universities in the US hold 74% of all the endowment money in the world. And it was only in 2017 that the government started taxing endowments of large universities. The tax rate? 1.4%, while the average American? The average American gets taxed over 14% for slaving away at their job. What can we say? Helping future generations never felt so good.